the wonderful Darrin Barnett, who's in studio here. Studio? This isn't a studio, it's a man cave. And joining us right now is James Ashby, because there was big news. Pauline Hanson's daughter is now going to be running for One Nation in Tasmania, where he is right now. I see winter has arrived early for you, my friend.
Yeah, freezing, mate, especially for a Queenslander here.
Yeah. I was going to say, Canberra's bad enough. Enjoy Tassie and the winds tonight and tomorrow. All right, let's talk about the politics of tariffs, okay? Darrin, huge hype going into this, right? It is not good. It is not okay. It's a terrible decision, all right?
Correct.
No but. Particularly the beef producers, that's bad news. 10% of 5% is not going to destroy the Australian economy. And I think that means that Albo's real hope, which was to put Trump at the centre of the Australian election campaign for the next 3 weeks, didn't quite work. What do you reckon?
I feel it's probably true that, and obviously James is the other guest, and he would know more from a Pauline Hanson perspective. The problem for Dutton is that he gets hit from the left and the right. And wherever he sits, the people who watch your show, the people who vote for Pauline Hanson, they're going to say, well, Dutton's not quite as much like Trump as we'd like. He's not as hard as we'd like. And the people in the centre think he's a little bit too much like Trump. Mm-hmm. So I think the problem for Dutton isn't really one of Anthony Albanese's making. It's just the times. And sadly for Dutton, at the moment, the times don't quite suit him.
James, your sense here, again, is it serious trouble when it comes to the next few weeks? Or, I'm going to use the word fizzer, right? People were banging on about that with Tropical Cyclone. They were able to say that. And again, Tropical Cyclone was a thing, all right? But thankfully, it wasn't as bad as it could have been. What's your sense about just how much has changed? Because you can see that Albo was desperate to make this the Trump referendum.
Well, we heard the lead up to this big announcement was all about, it's going to destroy the beef industry, it's going to destroy pharmaceuticals that we export to the United States, which are two extraordinarily big exports for us. But so too is gold. People don't realise we've got probably around a combined trading arrangement with the United States of around $90 to $100 billion, of which Australia exports about probably 35, 40 billion. The thing is that it didn't turn out the way that everyone predicted it to. So it has been a fizzer today. Gold prices went down. Yesterday I was only having a look at gold prices. They were at about $5,050 Australian per ounce. That's now down back under 5,000. So it wasn't, people run to gold for security and safety. Well, they obviously realised that it wasn't the need to rush to gold. The other thing too is that you've got to remember the American dollar is extraordinarily strong against the Australian dollar. So there's still going to be this desire to buy Australian products. We're cheap. We're cheap to Americans. But I don't blame Trump when he wants to protect industries. I wish we had stronger leaders in this country, because some countries want to work for a bowl of rice a day. We pay our workers very well here, and no one wants to take that away from them. But if you were to compete on a global market with a lot of these Asian economies, you have to apply tariffs, because otherwise you end up like Australia, destroyed manufacturing and industries. And we should be protecting our own industries here in Australia. Trump's done it. For how long it lasts, who knows? If there's a change of leadership under Dutton, who knows what we may be able to negotiate. But it is a bloody big fizzer today.
Yeah, I'm just looking at the futures market because a couple of hours before the American market opens, and no doubt there's going to be lots of red there. The total market values are 41,000 now on the Dow. The suggestion is at the start it's going to go down by about 1,000. Not an insignificant number, but again, not the sort of early days of COVID. But that's just the markets, and I'm not here for financial advice in any way, shape or form. But it's interesting, and also, Darrin, Australia for generations has had to deal with globalisation, right? The idea that we used to make a car and we used to make a fridge and we used all of these things, right? And then slowly but surely, it's just easier for someone somewhere else for 4 cents a day to make it, and then we'll import it back in. Trump views it as a way of funding his economy because he wants to get rid of things like income tax. Do you think that it actually is going to be a substantial kick in the backside to Australia to actually start making stuff again? Like, we don't even make copy paper anymore.
No, we do. We get rid of our natural resources and then import them back. That's been the case for a long time. And I think certainly if you talk about James's voter base in Queensland, a lot of them are old Labor voters who still like their union but don't necessarily love the Labor Party or the modern iteration of the Labor Party. But
Correct.
trade wars are very complicated things, and once you start them, can't
know where they go.
control
You don't know
where
where
it
they go.
ends. And for someone like Trump, who does like to control, that he doesn't know what's going to blow back and how hard. And I think it's also true that in a few months' time, when the price of a television and the price of other things skyrocket, that even though they've tried to soften the American public with this is going to be difficult, but trust us, when massive price hikes happen on certain items, it's going to be very hard to keep all of this under control domestically. So
Yeah, 100%.
I think
Because all the
today, I don't
politicians
have
that
a
are up
problem.
next November, they're going to smack him about.
There's a little bit of fizz to today, but really it's about what happens in the next 12, 18 months, and that's the real telling factor, particularly at home for Trump.